Have you ever gazed up at the night sky and felt something more than simple admiration? Have you ever sensed that the cold, silent disk floating in the inky abyss of space is not just a lifeless satellite, but something else entirely? An ancient witness to our destinies? Or perhaps a silent guardian? What if I told you that everything we've been taught about the moon, about the true history of humanity, and even about the very fabric of reality, is nothing more than an elaborately crafted lie? What if, behind the glossy facade of official science and the flawless photographs from NASA, there lies a truth so staggering and terrifying that the powers that be have spent billions of dollars and decades of effort just to keep it locked away? Today, we are going to pull back that veil of secrecy. The information I am about to share comes from archives that were never meant to see the light of day. These are fragments of recently declassified, yet still protected, intelligence from a single top-secret CIA project. Prepare yourself, because what you are about to hear will forever change the way you see the night sky. But before we gaze into this abyss together, take a slow, deep breath. And now, our story. It begins not in the cold void of space, but right here, on Earth, in the quiet, soundproofed offices of Langley, Virginia. Within walls that had witnessed the birth and death of state secrets, Project Stargate was born. On paper, for the official record, it was merely a program to study extrasensory abilities for military and intelligence applications. But in truth, it was a desperate, almost fanatical attempt by the planet's most powerful figures to tear through the very veil of reality. The weapon in this invisible war was the most fragile and unpredictable thing of all: the human consciousness. Those who possessed this gift were called remote viewers. They were men and women who, by merely closing their eyes, could see what lay hidden beyond thousands of kilometers of impassable jungle, behind the concrete walls of secret bunkers, and even through the misty shroud of time itself. Their service record was staggering. With incredible precision, they located secret Soviet test sites on maps, foresaw political conspiracies, and literally plucked missing hostages from the brink of oblivion. But one day, they were given an assignment unlike any they had ever faced. It was the mission that changed everything. Their destination lay far beyond the Earth, the dark side of the moon. Behind a dead veil of craters and ancient dust, the minds of specially trained psychics perceived something else entirely. Their reports, filled with chilling details, described the same images over and over. They spoke of colossal, unnaturally perfect structures deeply embedded in the lunar surface. Pyramids, not of stone, but forged from emptiness itself, a material that greedily drank the light, leaving only a gaping blackness. Long, needle-like spires seemed to vibrate without a sound, humming with a deep, dormant power. Yet the most unsettling discovery was not what they saw. Every single one of them felt it. A presence. It was something impossibly ancient, slumbering yet awake with its unfathomable mind. A being to which they hesitantly gave names: the Guardian, or the Silent Watcher. This was not life as we narrowly define it. It was consciousness itself, pure, icy, and boundless. For millennia, it had gazed unblinkingly upon the Earth, fully aware that it, in turn, was being watched. This is precisely why the Stargate project was shut down so hastily, so ruthlessly. All materials were instantly buried in the archives, classified far beyond top secret, while the official report offered only a dry, lifeless explanation: insufficient effectiveness. But the true reason was far simpler and much more primal. They were terrified. They gazed into the abyss, and the abyss as is its nature, gazed coldly back. Do you think this is merely a figment of a psychic collective's imagination? Then how do you explain their visions echoing, with chilling accuracy, the prophecies left by history's greatest mystics? Recall Nostradamus. In his cryptic quatrains, he wrote of a pale sphere that would bring great turmoil when its dark heart is revealed. He spoke of brothers from the north and east, a clear nod to modern spacefaring nations, who would disturb the sleeping giant, and the world will shudder. A mere coincidence? And what of the predictions from the Bulgarian prophetess Vanga? Legend speaks of the blind seeress, whose words came to pass with bone-chilling precision. She once proclaimed, "When humanity beholds its true reflection in the celestial mirror, they will scream in horror. Dust and ash will turn to gold, but their souls will be left barren." This enigmatic celestial mirror, could it be an allusion to the dark side of the moon, forever concealed from our gaze, reflecting the secret, shadowed essence of humanity itself? For decades, this phrase haunted researchers, and only now is it beginning to take on a truly sinister meaning. But the roots of this fear run far deeper, beyond any well-known names. Deep within the dustiest, most secluded archives of the Vatican, an anonymous manuscript lies in wait. It was left by a nameless medieval scribe who dared to secretly transcribe lines from even more ancient and strictly forbidden tomes. Upon its yellowed pages, just 3 words are inscribed in Latin: Luna Carcer Animarum, the moon, a prison for souls. The ancient text claims that our satellite is not merely a celestial body. It is a powerful energy relay that has, for centuries, trapped human consciousness in an endless cycle of reincarnation here on Earth, serving as a barrier that prevents the soul from breaking free to its true divine origin. As far back as the 17th century, a Japanese ascetic named Kojiro Yamamoto devoted his life to a singular purpose. For 20 long years, he passed his days in solitary meditation atop a windswept mountain, his gaze fixed upon the cold face of the moon. The few records he left behind speak of a silver eye, an entity that slumbers eternally, yet in its dreams, it foresees the coming fall of humankind. And when its heavy eyelids at last begin to stir, the entire illusion we call reality will shatter in an instant. Centuries later, in our own time, his words are echoed by Indian astrologers. Deep in their study of ancient Vedic texts, they claim that the current alignment of the planets points to the imminent activation of a so-called karmic lunar node. It is an event which, they say, promises nothing less than the unveiling of the great deception. And all of this might be dismissed as mere ancient mysticism, were it not for the disturbing rumors seeping from the very heart of the scientific world. Behind tightly closed doors, anonymous insiders from NASA and the defense industry report that the planet's greatest minds are desperately struggling to decipher mysterious and utterly unnatural radio signals originating from the far side of the moon, the side we can never see. These signals possess a stunningly complex and mathematically precise structure, yet they are unlike anything humanity has ever encountered throughout its entire history of space exploration. In private conversations, not meant for public ears, some scientists reluctantly confess, the ordered structure of these signals bears a frightening resemblance to human DNA, only in a form that is unimaginably more complex and multidimensional. And the chilling fear in their voices reveals the most important part. They are certain this is not just a message. It is something far greater. It is the activation code. And now, let us look around. Let us connect the cryptic hints of ancient prophecies and the cold lines of classified reports with the reality unfolding right before our very eyes. Do you not find this sudden, almost panicked race to the moon strange? The United States, China, Russia, India, the most influential private corporations. They are all desperately scrambling to get there, as if their very survival depends on it. The official version we are presented with speaks of resources, scientific progress, and national prestige. Beautiful words, so convenient for concealing the truth. But the truth may be far more terrifying. Perhaps they know something we do not. They know the Guardian is awakening, and so they journey into the cold void, not to discover something, but in a final, desperate attempt to turn something off. Or perhaps the opposite, an attempt to seize total control. Just look around you. Look at our planet. The Earth shudders from inexplicable climate anomalies. Cities are rocked by earthquakes in places that have never known a tremor. All across the globe, as if from a single spark, fires of social hatred erupt, consuming everything in their path. The economic structures we once trusted are collapsing like houses of cards, burying the hopes of millions beneath the wreckage. And people, they feel increasingly lost, desperately alone, torn not just from one another, but from their very essence. Admit it, you've felt it too, haven't you? That clinging, oppressive sense that something unavoidable is looming. The sensation that the world you know is turning to dust right before your very eyes. Ancient texts, hidden from the many, offer a warning. When the lunar transponder, our invisible guardian, begins to malfunction, when its frequency becomes distorted, it strikes directly at the collective unconscious of all humankind. It awakens a primal chaos within us, an irrational fear, and a blind, baseless aggression. You must understand, this is not merely a crisis of politics or economics. It is something immeasurably greater. This is a true psycho-spiritual war, and its battlefield is our very consciousness. Have you not noticed the ominous synchronicity? How great astronomical events, like the recent powerful solar eclipses, align so precisely with a new, even more ferocious escalation of conflicts here on Earth. They are trying to convince us that this is all just a chain of coincidences. But listen to yourself. What is your intuition whispering to you? That quiet voice deep inside. Pause for a moment and ask yourself this. Why at this very moment in history are the technologies of artificial intelligence taking such a breathtaking leap forward? Why are these dazzling digital worlds being created with such incredible speed? Worlds that, like mirages in the desert, draw us ever further from tangible reality. Is this simply the natural course of progress? Or are we witnessing the unfolding of a cunning plan, a pre-prepared safe haven? Could they be building a shining digital prison for the most precious thing we possess? Our consciousness? A sanctuary we will be offered when the physical world begins to fracture and crumble under the pressure of mysterious lunar energies. Consider what you yourself have experienced. Have you recently had unusually vivid dreams? Dreams that felt almost real, of silent space and a coldly shining moon? Have you felt a causeless anxiety coursing through your veins beneath the gaze of the full moon? Or perhaps, on the contrary, have you been swept up in a wave of inexplicable, thrilling energy? Believe this, you are not alone in these strange sensations. Every one of us is a living indicator, a harbinger of the changes to come. And this brings us to the very heart of the matter, to the staggering revelation that dawned upon the remote viewers of Project Stargate in their final moments. Gazing into the lifeless void, they understood they were not merely looking at alien constructions or some deity slumbering in eternal night. They saw a vast and terrifying metaphor. The dark side of the moon, forever turned away from us, was not simply a dead expanse of space. It presented itself as a symbol, a mirror image of the dark side of our own collective consciousness. It reflected all the hidden fears, the unhealed traumas, the insatiable greed and blind lust for power that humanity has, for millennia, carefully concealed from itself in the deepest recesses of the soul. And those colossal structures they witnessed were not physical buildings of stone and metal at all. No, they were monuments to our ego, petrified and crystallized in time, monuments to our most rigid, unyielding, and hardened convictions, frozen in the eternal cold. It was born from our belief in separation, in eternal scarcity, in a merciless struggle for survival. The Guardian is no external enemy. It is us. It is our own shadow, a shadow that we, gripped by terror, projected onto the cold surface of the moon and fashioned into our personal jailer. With our very own hands, we built this grim dungeon for our souls, and the global collapse foretold by the prophets, the one unfolding before our very eyes, is not the end of the world in the traditional sense. It is not nuclear fire or a falling asteroid. What is happening is something incomparably more profound and far more personal. This is the collapse of an old, obsolete consciousness. It is the shattering of our crown of glass, that fragile, almost weightless illusion of our omnipotence and total control over the world. All our political systems, our bloated financial institutions, our technological dependencies, they are nothing more than the metallic veins of civilization. Through them flows not the living, warm blood of creation, but only icy, soulless calculation and a viscous, paralyzing fear. And now, right before our very eyes, these delicate veins that run through the fabric of our familiar world are beginning to crack, slowly but inevitably. And the moon, that silent cosmic witness, merely accelerates the inevitable. Its cold, spectral light penetrates deep, illuminating every fissure, every old lie, and mercilessly forces them to the surface. Consider this: the widespread emotional burnout, the crushing depression, the all-consuming feeling of meaninglessness that has washed over millions. None of this is a disease. It is merely a symptom. It is the surest sign of a human soul suffocating, no longer able to exist within a web of lies. But there is a truth they have so carefully hidden from you. A truth capable of turning bone-chilling terror into the most brilliant hope. You must understand, this universal collapse is not some heavenly punishment. It is a gift of liberation. It is the necessary, even sacred decay of the old world, so that something truly genuine can be born from its ruins. A great catharsis is upon us, the baptism of fire that all of humanity is destined to pass through to achieve a new birth. For in order to build a new, strong house, you must first tear down the old one to its very foundations, foundations that have long since rotted and crumbled to dust. And we, as both witnesses and participants, are living through the very age of this grand demolition. It inflicts an unbearable pain. It strikes primal fear into every heart. It plunges the world into an abyss of chaos. And yet, it is a grim necessity. For the ancient prophecies foretold not an end to all things, but a great transformation. And those who watched from afar saw not only the all-consuming flames of destruction, but also that which was destined to come in their place. Myriads of flashes illuminated the face of the planet before them, but this was not the glow of great fires, nor the deadly burst of bombs. No. These were the brilliant lights of an awakening human consciousness. All around the world, millions of people just like you are awakening to a sudden realization. They are shedding the shells of social masks and casting off the chains of imposed roles to finally see who they truly are. Before their very eyes, the ancient hierarchies of power, held together for centuries by fear and total control, are beginning to splinter and turn to dust. They aren't collapsing from some outside force, but because people are consciously choosing to no longer feed them with their energy, their attention, and their belief. These people are witnessing humanity begin to remember a deep, almost forgotten connection, not only with each other, but with the planet itself, sensing that we are all part of one living whole. And no, this is not the end of the world that everyone so feared. It is the end of the world as we have known it, the end of an old age, and at the same time, it is the greatest opportunity in the history of our civilization to build something entirely new. And here, at this pivotal moment in history, everything comes down to you. It all comes down to a personal, intimate choice, a choice you must make, right here and right now. You could, of course, hear all of this and simply dismiss it. Call it empty nonsense and return to the world you know, to the anxious flicker of news screens and the hypnotic, endless scroll of social media. You can choose to remain in the cozy, yet tight and suffocating cage of the sleeper. This is precisely what the faceless system is counting on. But there is another path. You can hear this call and answer it. You can realize that the vague anxiety you feel, that persistent sense that the world has taken a wrong turn, is not a defect or a malfunction. On the contrary, it is your soul, beating from within, desperately pleading with you to finally awaken. The power is within you to begin asking the difficult questions, to start the titanic work upon yourself, cleansing your consciousness step by step from the clinging fog of fear so relentlessly forced upon you from the outside. You can become that very beacon in a raging sea, an unshakable anchor that secures a new, brighter reality within our world. And though the world around you may be shaken by storms and plunged into an abyss of chaos, you have the ability to preserve an unbreakable island of tranquility and a warm, steady light within yourself. Believe that your awareness, your firm choice not to surrender to the collective panic, your decision to radiate love and compassion where others sow judgment and hatred, this is anything but passive inaction. It is the most powerful creative force in existence. This is the greatest act of spiritual resistance available to every one of us. Each awakened mind, each conscious soul, weakens the deathly signal of the old matrix with its inner light. That same illusory prison for souls whose gray walls the cold moon has projected upon us for centuries. You must understand, we are quite literally changing the very vibrational frequency of the planet. Our consciousness acts as a tuning fork, attuning reality to a new and purer harmony. You are not a helpless victim of the coming changes, far from it. You are an active participant, a rightful co-creator, the very architect of a new epoch. It is you who are the warriors of light, whose arrival was whispered of in ancient texts and prophecies. Your time has arrived. It is here now. And so, I speak to you not as passive spectators, but as my allies, as brothers and sisters in this great cosmic transformation. Let this be your conscious act, a powerful signal sent into the very fabric of the universe, a sign that you have heard the call and without hesitation have chosen the path of awakening. Share this light with others. Pass this message onward. Do not spread this knowledge mindlessly, but share it only with those to whom your inner voice guides you, with those whose hearts you feel are already prepared to awaken. Become the very spark that ignites a flame in other souls. Remember, each new torch lit in another's hand is one more island of light reclaimed from the gathering darkness. For when we are united, our strength is magnified beyond measure. Patiently, we are weaving an invisible web of light, a luminous network destined to one day envelop the entire planet. There are sacred truths that must be guarded, profound knowledge that is still far too dangerous to be brought out into the open. It is a slow and deliberate work, for revealing these secrets before the world is ready could bring more shadow than light. But the time for full awakening approaches, and with it, the dawn that this web of light promises. It is a living current of pure energy, the very force that allows us to continue our work. It is the energy that feeds the bright flame of our beacon when the darkness of ignorance closes in. This is your personal contribution to our collective future. And now, the choice rests solely with you. Will you immerse yourself in a comfortable, slumbering reality, or bravely step onto the path toward awakening? Remain a captive to the sweet illusion of control, or attain the true freedom of consciousness? The time for that decision is now.